Hey everybody, this is Craig Cottle, Director of Nature Reliance School. We're going to be taking a look at several, and when I say several, I mean several, multi-tools today. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, any one of these tools is going to be a fine device for you to utilize, but I'm going to give you some thoughts because several of these I've had for many, many years, and I've used for various things, and I'm going to show you what I like about them. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that I'm going to start with the one that I have the longest. That is the Gerber Diesel. This Gerber Diesel is a fantastic little tool, as are all these. The thing that you're going to notice about the tools that I've chosen is all of them have needle nose pliers. I think that's a must when you're needing a multi-tool. Again, if you watched any of my videos in the past, you know that I'm a big fan of having a big knife, not necessarily a huge knife, but a good solid 4 to 5 inch blade, and that you shouldn't depend upon your multi-tool blade to be your knife. With that said, this tool has many different aspects to it, and I want to point out some things that are different compared to the others. The first off is that it has a nice little pair of scissors. You wouldn't think that that's very useful. However, it's been a useful tool for me to do a number of things. Number one, cut some flesh from an open wound. I've utilized it to cut some fabric, basically on clothing that I was wearing. It has the standard saw. It is my opinion that all of these saws are really not useful as a big time saw, so don't depend upon them for firewood or anything like that. However, if you wanted to cut the pie piece out of a bow drill hearthboard, then it worked exceptionally fine. And then again, it's got all the standard features of your Phillips screwdriver. It's got a file and any number of things. Again, one of the things I want to make sure that we point out on each of these is whether they're serrated or not. The blade on this particular tool, again, this is the Gerber Diesel, is a serrated knife, which I'm not a huge fan of serrated knives, but this has served me really well. I carried this knife for a number of years when I was working construction and did anything and everything from fixing drills to fixing toilets with it. It's a good little tool. This tool right here is the Leatherman Wave. It's very compact. It's an extremely popular blade. I'm sure Leatherman has made an absolute fortune on these things. Again, it has needle nose pliers. It has wire cutters as well. The thing that sets the Waves apart that I really do like is that you can get to some of the tools without opening the apparatus up. So in essence, I can get to that blade. I can get to the serrated saw blade, and I can also get to the saw, and I can get to a file without ever opening up and getting to the tools. I do really like that about the Leatherman. This little tool right here is another Leatherman. It's the Leatherman Blast. It's a little bit more affordable, and because of that, it's made from what I would consider subpar materials. It doesn't mean that it doesn't work well. It works extremely well. It's just you can feel it in your hand. It's not as robust and as strong as the Leatherman Wave. This particular Leatherman also has in it a pair of scissors, which again, you notice that I like to point that out. It has the standard bottle opener, can opener, and screwdriver, both Phillips and flathead bits. And so it's a real useful little tool. And another thing that I like about this particular Blast is it has measurements on the side. Now, how would you utilize that? Well, we could utilize that in a number of ways, particularly on map reading skills. That is an exceptional little tool to have to be able to measure distances using your scale and transfer that to your map so you know what kind of distances you're walking. I also have here the Gerber Suspension. This is, again, another Gerber tool. And quite frankly, this one feels the best in my hand than out of all of the ones that I have. It, again, has needle nose wire cutters. It has a saw, a straight edge. As you'll notice, this particular one is a straight edge, much like the Leathermans. I did not point that out. The Leathermans have straight knife edges on them, which I prefer. It has the requisite saw and stuff of that nature. Some of these have what they consider a leather awl, which I'm not a fan of. I would just use a knife blade, and I have actually used a knife blade for years now when doing leather work, is just to poke a hole. But I like how this one's a little heavy. It is on the heavy side, and it also fits very well in the hand, and it has been very robust. I've utilized this for years. I actually leave this in my toolbox in my truck, and I utilize it whatever I might run across when I'm out in the woods and doing whatever I'm doing. So a real useful little tool there. The last one I'm going to take a look at is the CRKT, and this is the newest one in my collection of these blades. And actually I'm going to give this one away, so make sure you watch to the end of the video and I'll tell you how to get your hands on this one. But in essence, what you have right here is you have a pair of pliers and you have a knife that again is serrated. So on this particular blade, it has a definitive CRKT grip holes so that you can grip tighter with it, so that it makes it easier for you to utilize. I found it to be a useful little tool. Again, I haven't used it as much as my other ones, and so I don't have as much experience with it. It's the only one of this bunch that's designed to be worn in your pocket because it has a pocket clip on it. However, if you'll note that it is the largest of the tools here, and so you got to have a big pocket to be able to carry this guy around. So you're looking at this tool being the biggest out of the bunch, and it also has the least amount of tools, so consider that. It has a Phillips bit as well as a flathead bit on it, and it took me a while to figure out how to get these out, but you push these little ears and you slide those bits right out the top, and then you can place them into the end. You can place them into the end of the tool itself, and then you have a flathead screwdriver or a Phillips bit screwdriver. Here's how I feel about them. I think they're all useful little tools, and I think any of them would be one that you could utilize for years to come. Let me point out some things as a whole. Again, the Zilla tool is the biggest one of the bunch. It's robust, it's strong. I think it would last you a lifetime. It's got a composite material on the handles. That way it's going to be, again, easy to grip. The rest of them, for the most part, are some sort of metallic material in every aspect of it. The bushings, the screws, the bolts, the nuts, everything in it except the Gerber Diesel. The Gerber Diesel has the design where you open it up by pushing on these plastic bushings, and then when you open the blades up, they lock, and again, you pull those bushings back to be able to lock the blade back in place. So again, this blade is locked once it's closed together. These Leathermans are fantastic. They hold together really tightly. After you get a lot of use with these though, they're going to open up a lot easier. These two tools are tools that, number one, this stays on my chest rig, and so I've always got a Leatherman ready to rock and roll on my chest rig. This one right here stays in my gun cleaning kit, and this one right here stays in the toolbox at the house. So I utilize all these. They're really good tools. I'm not a big fan of carrying one of these on my belt, in my pocket, because they just weigh me down too much, and I've got enough EDC to carry around anyway. So with that said, I highly recommend that you check out any of these. I've got links for every one of these in the description below so that you can get yours and you can pass that on to yourself or someone that you care about. Again, if I'm just giving this one away because it's the newest one and I've got plenty of them and I don't need to have another one, and I need you to help me get my videos out there. So here's what I want you to do. Please share this on social media. I'm going to pick somebody that shares this on some sort of social media, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, and I'm going to pick one of those folks and I'm going to give it away. So as always, we appreciate you following our videos and getting information from us. We want to do everything we can to get good information out there to you, but we can't keep doing this if you don't help us out by sharing it and let people know about it. So we really appreciate that. The support you give us is just unquestionable. That is very, very good, and we really appreciate all our supporters and followers. So with that said, go to the blog piece. There's going to be a ton of more information on these particular setups and how you can utilize them, and that way you'll have all the specs, the measurements, and the weights and everything so that you can make a sound decision on what you need to get. As always, Nature Line School, come on, join in. Let's learn together.